Hello and welcome.
Oh, hi, folks. This is my cat, Bogey. He likes to do yoga with me. He'd prefer to just lay there, but he knows that when Mommy starts to move, yeah, there you go, he has to move. So it's kind of cool to be at home practicing and teaching with, whoops, little cat here, a little friend, yeah? All right, so if he comes in and out, he'll get out of the way. He's a yoga cat. He knows what to do, yeah? All right, so today we're going to be doing a little hip opening. A little hip opening practice. And again, trying to make these practices a little shorter so that you can do them as you have time. The studio class is usually an hour and a half, 90 minutes long. And so this is a shortened version, but for many of us, finding the time, carving out the time when we're at home can be a little difficult. To carve out an hour and a half can be a little difficult. So I thought I'd make smaller segments. So today, just a little bit on hip opening. So it won't be too long, it won't be a full practice, but it'll be one to get your hips open, which is very grounding. Sitting, being able to sit on the floor, being able to have openness in the hips, frees the low back, helps to open the shoulders. We're interconnected. All of our parts connect through this lovely web. You've probably heard the term, if you've been in yoga class, of fascia. Okay, so there are a couple of different kinds of it, but this is the layer that we'll talk about. It's just like below the surface of the skin. So if you just think of that there's this like sub-layer to your skin, so everything is interconnected. And there are more kinds of fascia. It's really technical, but the point is that when you open up one part, other parts open. So if you get the hips open, that helps to free up the breathing space. It helps to open up the chest and strengthen the back, open up the neck. All those things are good. So let's do a little hip opening today. So first of all, anytime I start a practice, I just take a minute to just come into my space. In other words, to let go of all the frenetic energy around me, all of the electronic communication and messages coming in, and just let that all go. And what helps to do that is that you take a good seat. And so I've talked about taking a good seat, but I always like to reiterate that. So you're crossing your shins, lean over to your left hip, bottom, your buttock, all right, and then you're gonna grab this upper right thigh, and the movement is that you're spinning the inner thigh flesh down, you're pulling the buttock and the buttock bone, your glutes and the sit bone, you grab those together. So as you spin the thigh flesh down, I'm actually pulling the whole hip out, back, and setting it down. And when I do that, this right leg and hip will open up some. You open that right sit bone because we want them open. That pelvic space is what allows you to have freedom in the hips and the back and the legs and everywhere else. All right, then do the same thing to the left side. Lean over to the right, grab up in your upper inner right left thigh, and then spiral the thigh flesh down, pull the hip back and set it down. Right, and so then you can snug your feet in a little bit if that feels good. And then you can place your hands on your thighs and just close your eyes and notice how it feels as you sit now. When we first come to the yoga mat, this is the first minute. We just take the time to notice the breath. As you inhale through the nose, there's an expansion. And as you exhale through the nose, a gentle contraction. So just notice what you feel moving in your body as you inhale and as you exhale. And as we focus on the movement of our breath, the movement in the body, we come into our own space. It's a mindfulness practice. We just come into the place where we're on the mat with only ourselves. And today we'll open up the watery spaces of the hips. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. So please bring your palms together in front of your heart center. This is called Anjali Mudra. This pose of centering, of gratitude, of honoring. And if you'd like, you can join me for one Om to start the class. So just exhale fully and then inhale. Then exhale again, and after your next inhale, feel free to join me or simply listen. And then on your next exhale, release your hands to your thighs, softly lift your chin, open your eyes. Good. And then stretch your legs out, and let's just do this little seated windshield wiper pose. And let's just come right on up to Tadasana, to standing pose. So coming up to a standing pose, you can come up by having the right knee back behind you, or you can do it the other way. That's okay. Left knee can be behind you, left leg can be behind you, right leg here. All right. And then bring your right hand to the floor, turn your right toes under, press into your left leg, and then you can bring yourself up to a standing pose. And you do it by coming halfway up, walking your hands up your legs, bringing your hands to your hips as you lift your heart so that you're leading with the heart. Press down through the hips, lead with the heart, come all the way up. And if you want, take your arms all the way up. This is called Urdhva Hastasana, upward facing arms. Good, and then you can bring your hands back down. All right, now I'll be demoing this side to side. This is your yoga blanket. We'll be using it later on. If you don't have a yoga blanket, just find any sturdy towel, big thick towel, or blanket that you have that you can fold up. So you have some loft that's about, an inch or so thick to help support your bottom when you're sitting on the ground. Okay. All right, so now come to the front of your mat, bring your hands to your heart. Let's just do some warm-up half sun salutations, yeah? So when you're inhale, take your arms up and around, lift up your heart, and exhale, swan dive down, or hands on your hips. Coming down, touch the earth, or blocks if you need blocks. And if you don't have blocks, you can use some extra thick books and stack them up. That'll work fine. Good, and then inhale, come halfway up, hands on your knees, arms straight, heart lifted. And try not to shift the hips back, try to keep the hips forward so you start to open up the hamstrings. Good, then exhale, come all the way down, press your hands on the earth or blocks, all right, and step your left leg back for a straight leg lunge. All right, so this starts to open up the hip flexors and extensors and getting into the hip rotators. So lunges, standing poses are great for starting your hip opening. So rather than hanging here, keep your hips up a little higher. That also gets into the hips more. All right, move your blocks to the side if you're using blocks or books. Place your hands on the ground, step the right leg back to downward facing dog. Good. Downward facing dog, a lovely full body way to open. The key is to have length from your fingertips to your sit bones, which are right there. Doesn't matter if your feet touch the ground or your knees are completely straight. What you want more than anything is to have long torso, long spine, so that you're strengthening the spine and the upper body and the arms and everything else. But then if you want, lift your left leg up, swing it forward so that you're doing lunge side two. So just some lunges to start to open things up. Lunges you'll do in almost every yoga class you ever go to. Low lunge, if that works better for you. High lunge, if you want to be high. Good, and then as you're ready on your inhale, to come forward, press off with the right leg until you can come into the left leg, and then just bring the right leg beside it. And you can maybe fold a little more. Resist taking your hips back, that doesn't open them. Keep them more so that the hip bone here lines up to the ankle bone. And then we're going to come back up, either hands on your hips if you have any issues, the shoulders are back, okay, and then otherwise hands out to the side, all the way up and to your heart. All right, so now let's do something similar. Inhale all the way up, lift your heart. Exhale, come back down, Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Now inhale, come halfway up, hands on your knees. Again, try not to shift backwards, but shift forward so that you have a little more weight towards the ball of the foot and you're evenly in your feet. This will start to open up the backs of the legs. Hips and hamstrings work together. Good, exhale, press the hands, and this time step the right leg back, straight leg lunge. Spin the right heel down to the ground, and on the inhale, take the arms up. Warrior one. Veer up, whoops, turning left and right. When you're doing your practice, takes a little practice, yeah? All right, so this is warrior one. Gonna bring the hands back down, turn the right foot up to the lunge, step the left foot back, downward facing dog. But now bend your knees a little bit here, and then press from your hands, press actually from the back of the heart into your hands all the way back so that you can really get the sit bones open. Once you're there, then right here, just above the back of the waist, lift up a little bit, and that's going to strengthen your core a little more. Good, then on your inhale now, lift your right leg and swing it forward, spin the left foot down, so you come up into warrior one, Virabhadrasana one, side two. All right, so you take a breath or two here. This feels really good. All right, so we're starting to open up. When you open, standing poses are great for starting to open the hips as well. Good, exhale, bring your hands back down. Spin the left foot down, so left foot back into the lunge leg. But then as you're ready, inhale, kick off with your left foot, straighten your right leg, come on back into standing forward then, Uttanasana. Make sure your hands are grounded on something, don't just hang. You want to not put a lot of pressure on your lumbar spine. If you're just hanging, that can stress your spine unless you're really strong in the core. Good, in your inhale, come all the way back up again, reach all the way up. And exhale, hands at your heart. All right, so now we're going to do just a few lateral poses again to just start getting things opening up while you're standing, and then we'll come down to the ground for some hip work. All right, so take a nice wide stance. Step your left heel back, turn your right foot out. Inhale, open your arms to open your heart, put your shoulder blades on your back, palms down. Take a nice breath in, exhale. Look over your right arm. Bring your right forearm to your right thigh, left hand to your left hip. Parsvakonasana. Uttita Parsvakonasana. Take the left thumb up, shoot it up towards the wall, and then turn your whole left side of your body towards the ceiling. Now, if you want a little bit more work, take this right arm up. Woohoo! That's going to work, yeah. Good, exhale, bring your hands back down, right arm to the palm up on the right leg, left hand on your left hip. Inhale, press into the leg, come back up, turn your feet parallel. Good, now step the right foot back a little, take the left foot out to 90 degrees. Inhale, open your arms to open your heart. Exhale, palms down. Breathe in. Exhale, bend the left leg, bring the left forearm to the left thigh. Bring the right hand to your right hip. You may stay here if you want. Otherwise, you're going to take this right thumb up to the top of the shoulder and shoot it towards the front of the room. And again, opening up this whole right side body. Extended side angle. Side two. Good, inhale, come all the way back up. Turn your feet parallel. All right, and then we're just going to hinge forward into a little bit of a forward fold. You don't have to come down all the way if you don't want to, and you may use a couple of blocks if you'd like. All right, so turn your palms up, or a couple of books, of course. Palms up, the pinky finger into where your legs meet your trunk. Push back to take your hips back. So that's your hip crease, and that's where you want to fold from. And then you can come down to wherever you're comfortable. Okay, and you can come down to whatever feels good for you today. All right, you just take a few breaths here. And again, resist shifting back. Bring your hips a little more forward as you do a little forward fold. Good, then inhale, press into the earth, and heel, toe as you're coming halfway up. Come back to the center. Good, hands on your hips. Fingertips forward, thumbs back. Elbows up, puts your shoulder blades on your back. And then inhale, press into the hips, lead with the heart, come all the way up. Exhale, hands at your heart. All right, so now so let me show you the next one. We're gonna do King Pigeon Pose Prep. So Ekapada Rajakapotasana Prep. All right, so we're going to do it from downward facing dog. And this is your first sort of bigger hip opener, yeah? And if you're a little stiffer, take the blanket that you have and roll it up a little bit so that you end up with a little bit of a tiny bolster. So I'll show you what it looks like. It feels really good. All right, so we'll come to downward facing dog. All right, and then on the inhale, I'm going to lift my right leg up as far as I can. Now with the hips even here, that's working this upper inner right leg. If I want a little hip action, a little opening, I'm going to turn my whole body open a little bit, bend my right knee, looking underneath of my right arm, and work to keep both arms as straight as you can. Good, then I'm going to turn back towards the mat, straighten the right leg. Good. Bring the right knee forward as if I were coming into plank. We call this plunge, plank and lunge. Good. And then bring the right foreleg to the earth and lower yourself down so that your pelvis is on this blanket. Now you don't have to use the blanket. I just find it feels really good, especially if you're a little tighter in the hips and hamstrings or in your thighs. Yeah. If you don't need it, you can pull that out to the side and you'll be going a little bit deeper into the hips. Now I turn my back toes under because that continues to ground me through the back leg and to lengthen the calf and the above the ankle, the Achilles tendon area. All right, and this is the back bend portion of King Pigeon Prep, Ekapada Rajakapatasana Prep. You don't have to say it. Good. All right, that's the back bend. And if you want, you can come down to your forearms, perhaps bringing your palms together maybe. You can interlace your fingers. I like to put the palms together because it keeps symmetry in the hands. And then you may stay here, or maybe, I find a lot of people when they're here, it's like, okay, fine. They're gonna stack their fists and put them between the eyebrow center, your third eye, your intuitive center. Or you can place one hand on top of another and come down a little lower. So this is the back bend portion of your King Pigeon Prep pose. You can stay there for like days, I'm only kidding, for like 10 breaths or so. Maybe you want to stay on 1 or 2, it's fine, whatever you want to do. All right, then bring your hands back. All right, now to come back up, you'll turn, if you have the toenails down, now turn the toes under. Shoulder blades are on your back. You're going to start to press yourself up and bring this right leg back and stretch it up again, just to kind of lengthen out. And then bring the right leg down. And on your inhale, left leg up, hips even. And then you turn the whole left side of the body open. Maybe look underneath your left armpit. And then bend this left knee. We call this fire hydrant. Can you see why? All right, then you'll start to turn back and then straighten this left leg out. And as you're ready, come forward again as if you were doing plank. Bring your knee forward as if you were going to take it forward for a lunge, plunge, and then bring this left leg down. Feels so good to the hips. This gets deep into the front hip for sure, and then it's opening up the flexor on the right side. So this is the back bend portion. And you take a few breaths here. And if you'd like, now you can come down for a little forward fold. Many people seem to like coming down forward. So again, come down. You can bring the palms together if you'd like. Or you stack your hands, whichever one was on top before. Maybe you stack the other one on top, just for variety. We like to do both sides of the body equally. And feel free to come down, or just to come to where you're comfortable. You can also put your forehead on a block or your book. So this is King Pigeon Prep. And you take 2 or 3 or 4 or 20 breaths here, whatever feels good to you. All right, then you bring your hands back underneath the tops of the shoulders. And again, to start to come up, I'm going to lift up a little bit. So I'm starting to come up almost like a lunge on that back leg. Then I come up a little bit more. Then I can take this left leg. Oops, I'm almost up in that. Left leg back, stretch it up again so that it just feels nice and open. And bring it back down. Good. So that's King Pigeon Prep. All right, now come on down. We're going to do a little core pose here. So this will Just throwing this in because it feels like a good thing to do now. All right, so come down to your knees, bend your feet up, and then come down onto your forearms and bring your palms together. So you want to come down from that long plank position so that your knees are far enough back that you can now lift the hips, all right, so that they're in line with your shoulders. And this is a really good core pose. If you have low back issues, you want to take yourself a little bit higher. Having the knees bent with the feet off the floor is less stress on the back. So this is a nice little core pose just to get you thinking. Yeah, core work is really good. Good, then you can bring the feet back down, and then if you want, you can straighten the back legs and bring yourself into forearm plank. Again, another core pose. You take a few breaths here. Low back issue people, hips a little higher, coming down a little more. We're just doing a little strengthening here. Good, on your exhale, come down into your knees. All right, and then we're going to come back and just bring your big toes together, your knees apart, and then bring your arms back, your elbows back, and here, stack your fists as well, so that this is resting child's pose. So just after doing the standing poses, we're taking a little breath. Resting child's for about two breaths or so, 2 or 3 breaths. Just let everything settle. Good. On your inhale, come on back up. All right, and now I'm going to face forward, and we'll do some seated hip openers, which for many people seem more approachable, and maybe not, it depends. And if you're used to sitting on a blanket when you're doing seated poses, feel free, please, to put that under there now, because what that does is help to open the hips. The sitting on the blanket tilts your pelvis slightly forward, which helps the low back, and that's going to help with your hip opening. But if you don't, you normally use it, and I don't, because I have open hips. Not everybody does. So honor what you need to do. All right, so the first one we're going to do after doing the King Pigeon pose prep is the Ardha Matsyendrasana twist. Let's do Marichyasana 3 first. So let's do this. Stretch your legs out. I like to do what feels right when I'm doing it. This is, I teach, I always have a plan when I teach, but then I change it depending on what I'm doing, because it really depends on how it feels in your body and how the energy feels. That's what I call more organic practice. I have a plan, but it's always fun to change it. All right, so now let's do Marichyasana 3 pose. Okay, so bend your right knee. Place the right foot to the outside of the left knee. And then interlace your hands. I'll move this out the way so you can see better there. Interlace your hands around the front of your right knee and energize your left foot. So don't let it just hang out there. You want to energize it as if it were standing on the ground. And this right one, the feet are on, the foot is on the ground. If you can't do that, you can have it to the inside, and that's going to be okay. Or you can cross it more almost like a figure 4 and sit more upright. Okay? All right, then you're holding onto this knee. You draw it in as you inhale towards your heart. Take your right hand back behind you. Hold your right knee with your left hand. Inhale, get really tall. For any twist, you want to lengthen first so the spine gets long. And then as you exhale, you're going to twist from the opposite side, left side ribs. You soften them back, and then you twist towards the right leg. Okay, and this is Marichyasana 3. It's a sage pose. Many of the poses in yoga are named after sages. Wise people, wise men they all are, most of them, from way back when. Good. On your inhale, lift up through the crown of the head, unfurl, come back, stretch your legs out, and then just take a minute. Maybe you can close your eyes for a second and notice the difference between the two sides of the body. Maybe subtle differences that you feel, but there will be differences. And then open your eyes, and that's why we do both sides of the body, so you don't walk out lopsided. Yeah. All right, so now, bend your left knee, cross the left foot over the right, left foot's on the ground, and again, or here, okay, or there if it's too much for you, okay? Interlace your hands around the front outside of the left knee, and as you inhale, draw your knees towards you. As you draw your heart up, you lift. Good. Take the left hand back by your hip, holding the right knee. Inhale, draw the knee towards you, get really tall. Exhale, soften the right ribs back and twist to the left. Feels really good. Good, and again, we're doing these with a couple breaths in each. Once you get used to doing some of the poses, you can hold the poses longer with ease of breath. Okay, inhale, get really tall to unfurl. Exhale, unfurl. Come back to the center, stretch your legs out. Do that. All right, so now let's do, that is sort of like an easy version of the next one. So if this next one is difficult for you, do the same pose we just did again. Nothing wrong with repeating a pose. All right, so this time bend your knees. Bring the right heel close to the left hip, left sit bone area. Cross the left leg over top. And then make sure that you kind of move in so that you can feel yourself equally on your sit bones, that both of your sit bones, that's the base of your torso. And when those sit bones are grounded, that helps to open everything up. And again, if this is too deep for you, put your left leg in front like that, and that's still going to get you over. All right, so your choice, yogi's choice. All right, so interlace your hands around the front. So what we do when we do this, we're creating an energetic connection that helps us lift. So as we draw the knee towards our heart and lift up tall, that's using strength. And then as you hold the left leg with your right hand and your left hand behind you, and inhale, you use that strength to get tall, and then as you exhale, you press into the earth and you grow long as you twist to the left. Good. On your next inhale, get really tall, lift up. Exhale, come back to the center. Take your left leg out, your right leg out. And again, I can feel the difference between the two sides. So if you want, it's always fun. Just kind of soften your eyes or close them a minute and feel the difference between the two sides. You're doing a lot of opening. Yeah. Okay, so now cross your right leg over your left. Oh, I'm sorry. Take your left foot in to your right hip. Cross your right foot over your left and interlace your hands around the front of the knee. And again, you can be here. As you inhale, lift up tall. And as you exhale, right hand behind you, and you'll twist to the right. And again, 1 or 2 breaths here, whatever feels comfortable for you. I love twist. Twist and hip openers do a lot together. Twist is like if you have a dirty sponge in the kitchen and you wring it out and then you release it and all the fresh water comes in. Twist do the same for your body. As you twist, you squeeze out the old stuff you don't need. And then when you come back to the center, as you inhale and come back up, you are allowing fresh energy to come into all your internal organs. It feels really nice. All right, and then take your right leg out, left leg out, and do this. Seated windshield wiper poses. Again, this is moving into the hip joint. It just feels really nice. All right, the next one, let's do, okay, this is Garudasana. Gomukhasana legs. All right, so these are cow face pose legs. We're just going to do the legs today. So I suggest, let me show you from the side. I suggest you use your blanket. Hi, folks. You use your blanket folded here. No, you can't sit on the blanket right now. Mommy needs. Well, you can sit back there, I guess. All right. So please, Bobby. Thank you, love. Okay. So what we'll do is we're going to. Let me show you. I'll show you. That's the best way. So scoop, scoop, scoop. There you go. So I'm going to come to the table. I'll show you this from the front, actually. I'll be in the table. Can you see my legs? Good. All right, so now I'm going to take my left knee to the center, and I'm going to bring my right knee around. You see my feet there back behind me? Now I'll show you from the side what that looks like. Oops. All right. All right, so now, and I have this blanket back between my feet. So I've got the right knee over the left. Now I'm going to bring my bottom back And that's why I like a blanket here. You got a little something to sit on, and that's going to make it not so far back to take your hips. You can even have a blanket folded up more, or you could use a block underneath of the hips. And these are Gomukhasana legs. That's a big hip opener right into your hip rotators, right in your glutes area. You'll feel it when you're there. Yeah? Hands behind you, heart lifted up. That's what we're going to do. And then if you want to make it a little more exciting, then you can put your hands behind you, keep your heart lifted, take a nice breath in, and as you exhale, maybe take your belly towards your thighs, about an inch or two. Okay, and you'll feel a little more intensity in the hips. So there's a little forward bend here with these Gomukhasana, cow face pose legs. Yeah. Good, inhale, come all the way back. Now you can come back, you wanna undo your legs. Now you could come again to the table, and then this time the left leg's gonna be on top. So you could come to the table and do like we just did, but here's another way to do it. So now I'm gonna take the right leg over so the right foot is close to the left hip. Then I'm gonna cross the left leg over top. Hello, baby. And then you bring those two knees as much as you can over each other. Maybe you lift your bottom up just to help you settle in. All right, and this is Gomukhasana, cow face legs. Not real sure. Many of we yogis and yoga teachers have tried to figure out what the cow face means. If you do the arm, you can kind of maybe see the ear and the whatever, but it's interesting, yeah? All right, then you can take the hands back behind you, take a nice breath in, lift your heart, and as you exhale again, you're not trying to curl down. That's slumpasana. That means that you're not engaging the core or the back. So you want to try to take your belly forward and your head. The head wants to do this, don't do it. Just kind of look down towards the mat so the head stays in line with the spine, and you're getting strong in the core and in the back, and you're opening your hips. You take a breath or two here, as long as you can enjoy it. Good, inhale, come back up. All right, so now we're going to do, I'm going to move this out of the way. All right, and I'll face you again. This next one is a little more intense, like that one wasn't, right? Okay, so now we're going to do fire log pose, sometimes called Victor's Lotus. Victor Van Kooten, I think, may have had something to do with this. Or Agni Stambhasana, Agni meaning fire, and I guess Stambhasana means log. So what we're doing, this is a modified lotus pose. Lotus is a very advanced pose, and you don't want to be trying it unless you really have your hips open, because many people will do things with the feet that are not so good for the knees. So this is a great alternative. What you're looking for here is that this right ankle is over the left knee, and the right foot is active. Okay, we're not just hanging out there. It's active. And this right foot, that's your left foot, my bad. That's your left foot. The right foot is underneath of the left knee. And you should feel some burning in your glutes, yeah? That's why they call it fire log. You will smell the smoldering fire logs as you start to open these hips. And again, if you want to make it a little more intense, because I know there are mixed levels watching this, you keep your hands back so you're not tempted to do this. Keep your hands back to keep your heart open. And then maybe take your belly forward, a little bit, and say hi to your hip rotators. Ooh, hello. Good. Then inhale, come all the way back up, and then we'll change legs. You can stretch your legs out. It usually feels good in between these more intense poses to stretch the legs out a little bit. All right, then bend the left knee, bring the heel towards the right hip. Bring it so it's parallel to the long sides of the mat. And then you'll do the same thing with the other side. So basically, these legs are parallel and lined up parallel with the, it won't be 100% parallel, your legs don't work that way, but the intention is to have them more lined up with this front mat, yeah? And then energize both feet. If you just hang out with the feet like that, you won't feel as much in the hips. So energize your feet and your hips will come alive. Good, then you take your hands back a little bit, take a nice breath in, exhale, coming a little more forward. And you enjoy your breath. On your inhale, come all the way back up again. All right, this time undo your legs, stretch them out again. All right, so now let's bend the left knee, bring the sole of the left foot to the upper inner right thigh. Then we'll do Janu Shirshasana, which is head to the knee pose or head of the knee pose. You may, if you want to go a little deeper, you can move this left heel more towards the center of your pelvis or into the left hip crease, whatever feels good to you. But again, you're energizing both feet. All right, now to help you do this forward bend, you're going to internally rotate the thigh again and take the leg back, literally. Let me show you from the side. All right. So I'm going to internally rotate the leg and pull the whole leg back again. And you see how that starts to help me with forward fold? When you take the leg into the hip socket, you can then move forward a little bit more. All right, and then what we'll do is take your left hand forward. Good, and reach, reach, reach. Now the purpose of this reaching is again to keep you from slumping. So the reach is that you reach and keep your spine long and your head in line with your spine. Once you've gone to a place where that feels like enough, you can take this left hand down somewhere to the outside of the right leg. You might be here, you might be here. That's a forward fold. Doesn't matter how far you go, it's how you go far. Good. All right, so you come to where it feels comfy. All right, then you take the right arm up. And again, staying the heart lifted and the heart open, you can take the right arm forward, reach until you've gone forward, lengthening up as much as you can. And then the right hand can come somewhere to the inside of the left leg. You can stay here, right leg to the right leg. You can stay here or bend your elbows so that you're not pulling. And if you come down, it's because you're coming from the power of your long spine and your strong core. And then I'm not encouraging anybody to come down and bring their nose to their knee. You only do that when you really can be as deep as you can. It's almost like you want your whole torso lying on the leg before you try to come down and bring the head to the knee. Good, on your inhale, come all the way up, raise your arms up. And if you want, you can take the left hand to the ground, and then you'll come onto the front of the left leg, and you can open up into gate pose variation. Sorry, my back's to you. And then exhale, come back down, and let's stretch the legs out and do side two. All right, bend the right knee, bring the sole of the right foot against the upper inner left thigh, or to the center of the pelvis, or to the right hip crease. And again, like we did before, internally rotate this left leg, pull it back into the hip socket, which puts you in the advantageous position of coming forward. Okay? All right, so over here, you're going to take the right arm forward and reach, reach, reach. You're lining up your heart with your knee. So you reach, 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 and just to wherever you feel comfortable. You can bring the right hand down somewhere to the outside of the left leg. Inhale, reach, reach, reach. Left hand comes to the inside of the left leg. And then bend your elbows if you want to go deeper. Otherwise, you can just stay here and take a few breaths. If you want to go deeper, you're going to do it by bringing your belly onto your thighs, bending your elbows. And I don't go as deep on this side. We've got some issues on this side. So you may not go down as deep, and you honor that. Yeah? And you take a few breaths here. And on your inhale, come all the way back up, bring your right hand to the earth, move on over to your right shin. And I have knee issues, but I'm not on my knee cap here. I'm more on the shin. So if this doesn't work for your knees, don't do it. But if it does, you can be on the inside of the left foot. This is a variation of gate pose. You can do it like this. You can do it any way you want. It just feels like nice to move into the body this way after that hip opening. Come on back down, lower the legs down, stretch both legs back out. Do that because it feels good. Good, and then bring the soles of your feet together for bound angle, all right? So every time that I do a seated pose, I re-establish my foundation, my sit bones on the earth. So I'm internally rotating the legs again to be sure that I'm equally grounded on the supports of my pelvis and hips. All right, now to energize this pose and to feel it into the to your upper inner thighs, okay, into your adductor muscles. So we'll help, and those act like they have to open the hamstrings. The adductor magnus, the biggest one, is like a fourth hamstring. There are 3 hamstrings, that's enough, but now you got a 4th one. And then you have your quads, which are 4 muscles. So these muscles all work together for support, but when they get really tight, your hips are tight too. All right, so bring your hands back behind you. Heart is lifted. Now lift and spread your toes. Isometrically, that's moving without moving. So you do the action of trying to drag the heels back without actually dragging them back. Keep that action. And as you exhale, try to pull the feet apart, but don't let them come apart. So you're actively pressing, dragging in, pulling apart, but you're not moving. That's a lot of movement for not moving. And that's bound angle. You take a few breaths here. And again, if you want to do a little forward fold, all of this gets more into the hips if you want to. You keep the actions of what you're doing with the feet and legs, and maybe you come a little bit forward. I just like to look down to the spot in front of the mat so my head stays in line with my spine. You can come as deep as you want here, but again, you're not collapsing down. There's a lot of energy in these forward folds if you stay in good back alignment. Good, inhale, come all the way back up. All right, now take your feet away until they turn up on their own. Do a little bit of that, seated windshield wipers, and then if you'd like, take your feet out wide. Now, how wide is wide? So this is really wide. We're not looking for that. That's another pose. What you want is that your feet come in so that you're at about a 90-degree angle. That's usually pretty good. And again, feel free at any time to sit on a blanket. Okay? All right, so now this is, we're going to do Upavishta Konasana, and that's what this pose. So you're energizing the feet, the toes are up towards the ceiling. All right, you can place your hands back behind you. And the energy that you want to do here, the energetic movement of isometrics that will help you engage the legs more, is that you want to pretend you have this huge beach ball here, and you're going to inhale and isometrically squeeze your legs towards the beach ball. And then as you exhale, press down into the earth and get really long and maybe come forward a little bit. Once again, the only action is here at the hip crease. Everything else stays nice and integrated in the way that you've been doing it. So a little forward fold here. You're going to say hi again. This is a good hamstring one as you squeeze towards the center. And as you come forward, you'll feel your upper legs, yeah, among other things. And you come to where you're comfortable, but not any further. As soon as you start doing this or that, you're straining. So you want to be able, I'm talking to you the whole time. My head and neck feel comfortable. You want to be able to talk to a friend. Well, you don't want to talk to a friend while you're doing your yoga practice necessarily, but you want to have that energy that you could if you needed to. All right, and then bend your knees and heel toe, well, not heel toe, you're going to just bend your knees and bounce your legs back. And then again, you can do some windshield wipers. All right, and now we're going to come to the earth and cool down for our final Shavasana. So the first thing that we're going to do is come onto our back with our knees bent. And we're going to do on the back some windshield wipers and then knees to the heart. So I'm going to show you all this. So don't do it yet. So I'll show it to you, watch it demoed very quickly, and then I'll talk you through it as I do it, but you won't be able to see because you're on the ground. Then I'm going to put you in the final resting pose, known as corpse pose or Shavasana in Sanskrit. And that's just the time when you die off the old, let go of the old, and make the space to take in all the new actions that you're doing in your body, or the new habits that you're incorporating. You may be doing yoga for years, and they still are new every time that you do them. So you want to bring them back in with fresh energy, yeah? All right, so let me just show you very quickly. So when you come down onto your back, you don't just plop down. That's hard on your low back especially. So you want to bend the knees, you lower yourself to your forearms, then you can come down onto the ground. All right, and then have your feet as wide apart as the mat, and I'll cue you as you inhale, knees are at the center. As you exhale, knees fall to the right. Inhale, knees to the center, and exhale, knees to the left. So I'll talk you through several of those while you do it. All right, and then you'll come back to the center. You're going to hold around the fronts of the knees or the backs of the knees. And if you have a strap and it's hard for you to hold your knees, you can use a strap. I'll show you what that looks like. You can double the strap for more comfort if you want. And you hold the strap back behind the backs of the thighs. And that way you can hold your knees comfortably. Or your thighs comfortably. Okay, you don't have to use that strap, but if you want to, you may. All right, so then from there, I'll put you into Shavasana, which is corpse pose. And then when you're ready to come out of Shavasana, I'll talk you through all this. You'll bend your knees. You're going to roll to the side of your choice. Right side is what we say, but left may be better for you. You cradle your head with your arm for support, and then after a few breaths, you start to roll the upper body, and you can stretch that top leg out. You roll your upper body to the earth, press into the earth, so that you use your hands and arms to bring you back up to a seated pose. And then you'll end up just as you started. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through it, and when you get to Shavasana, I'll take you into Shavasana with some initial guidance, and then I'm going to turn off the video. All right, because that way we don't have to have nothing going on for 10 minutes. But I'll turn off the video once I have you in Shavasana. And then all you have to do is to simply lie in Shavasana for as long as you want. And, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, that's all good. And then when you're ready, come out of it the way I showed you, and then just come back right here the way you started. And just connect to your breath. Just notice what you notice, and notice how much different and hopefully better you feel when you finish your yoga practice today. All right, so please, let's come on to the ground, and then lower yourself back until you're lying on the ground with your knees bent. This is called constructive rest. Hands away from your side body usually feels pretty good. All right, and then separate your feet. My mat's wider, so you don't have to go that wide, but separate your feet so they're about a foot or more away from, about 1.5 feet away from each other. All right, now take a nice breath in, and as you exhale, let your knees fall together to the right. And then as you inhale, bring your knees back to the center, and exhale, knees to the left. And do that several times at your own breathing pace. Inhale, you come back to the center. Exhale to the side. Inhale back to the center. Exhale to the side. And do that a few more times. Just follow your own breath. This is just calming. This gentle, rhythmic movement is calming to the body. And you're just enjoying this gentle movement, which slows everything down. So you can enjoy a nice resting time. Now the next time that you go to the left, let that be your last time. Come on back to the center, knees at the center. All right, and then you can draw your knees towards you, and you can interlace your hands around the fronts or the backs of the knees. Either one is fine, or use your strap. And then we're going to do just a little pose to bring it all together, a symmetrical pose at the end. So as you're holding the knees close to your chest, hold them there. And as you inhale, you just reaffirm your hold. As you exhale, you're not trying to curl up. You're just lifting up a little bit your head, neck, and shoulders as a unit. And this is strengthening to the neck. And then exhale, come back down. Inhale, holding the knees, reaffirming the hold. Exhale, back up. Inhale, back down. And exhale, one more time back up. You can do that once or 3 times. Then inhale, come back down. Release the feet to the ground. Lengthen your legs out. Now, if you have low back issues, you want to put a blanket back behind the backs of your knees, which supports the low back. If you have head or neck or shoulder tightness, feel free to put another blanket, or that blanket if you don't have low back issues, underneath the back of your head, which supports your head. What you don't want is your chin way high, because you really can't relax like that. That's too energetic, and it's also straining on the throat. So you want to have your forehead and your chin on the same level, with the forehead slightly above. And then close your eyes or softly focus them. And feel into your body as you take one nice full breath in and exhale. Release that breath. Feel where the back of your body is resting on the earth. Soften the muscles of your forehead, your cheeks. Let your tongue float loose in your mouth so that your jaw can release down towards the earth. Soften the sides of your throat. Feel the heaviness, the delightful heaviness of your limbs as they rest on the earth. Notice perhaps that your breath has become almost silent as your body is full of the energy, the prana of the practice. And your breath can become gently there. And then all you have to do for the next 8 or 10 minutes is to simply notice whatever you notice and just be. And when you're ready, come out of Shavasana the way I showed you earlier. And after you're up to a seated pose, just bring your hands to your heart one more time. And if you'd like, you can finish your class, as I'll do with this video now, by chanting one Om. So, inhale. And we finish with Namaste, which means when the light in me meets the light in you, we are one. Namaste, y'all.